And the Emmy Award for Outstanding Documentary goes to... What's going on, you guys? James here with another real review, and today we're talking about the last 2 episodes of ESPN's Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, chronicling the very successful Chicago Bulls of the 90s. Yes, of course, this ends with the final three-peat, the second three-peat, so the 6th championship in the Michael Jordan era. And let me tell you guys, the show goes out on a high note. However, I did feel a certain type of way about that last episode, and I'll talk about why I felt that way. But hey, for those who have been keeping up with me in this journey throughout the entire Last Dance documentary series, thank you so much. If you missed out on any of my reviews from episodes 1 all the way until now, go ahead and find those links in the description below. And guys, in the comments, get loud and let me know which pair of episodes was your favorite. And if you like what you hear and what you see, don't forget to go ahead and hit the like button because it helps the channel out. But most importantly, guys, if you haven't already, please go and hit the big red button below and tap on the bell so you don't miss out on reviews and reactions just like this. Over the next couple of weeks, we have very big titles that I'm reviewing. Yeah, a couple of lovebirds and something about a Space Force. But hey, we'll talk about that when the time comes. You're here for The Last Dance episodes 9 and 10, so let's get right into it. If you don't know his name, you know it by now. Director Jason Hehir is absolutely amazing. He has done great work in the past with the Andre the Giant documentary series, but here with The Last Dance, pulling in archival footage and the way he jumped between years throughout the 90s Bulls and also of MJ's college years, it was just absolutely remarkable. All of the interviews were really on point for the most part, and the musical selection earlier in this series was really great when coupled alongside, highlight reels and everything like that. This is a basketball fan's dream, but it's also a movie lover's dream, and the reason I say that is because of the way everything was kind of stacked up against one another. The storytelling, like I just mentioned, was intertwined in such a beautiful way, and I think that all of the footage was used to complement the story, so the pacing was pretty excellent throughout. I'm not gonna lie, I think a lot of people who don't like sports will actually appreciate this documentary because there were some things that went beyond the basketball court that really gave the viewer really a lot to munch on. So this is something so excellent, and I'm really happy that I was a part of it every single Sunday. It's insane to say it, but this documentary series was must-see TV Sunday night. Whether you love Michael Jordan or you hate him in the Chicago Bulls, I was glued in front of my TV seat watching every single episode. As for tonight, episodes 9 and 10 were different in tone. Episode 10 was more of like that bittersweet send-off feeling, and that was more so for the lover of the theatrics, of the drama a little bit, and also of the Chicago Bulls in the Michael Jordan era in the 90s. Episode 9 was really more of a basketball fan's dream because you got to see a lot of that action with the Utah Jazz, Reggie Miller and the Pacers, and that Eastern Conference Finals matchup. It was fantastic for the sports fan. And that's where episode 9 started back in 93 with Michael Jordan and, Reggie Miller really clashing and butting heads on the court. Sometimes they showed love off the court, but it was really great that what Jason Hehir did was do the time jump again. I get it, some people don't like it, but he had to show the past in order for you to understand where the story was in the present. The most interesting tidbit of the night, in my opinion, wasn't even how the Bulls broke up in 98. It was the pizza delivery, the flu game in Game 5 against the Jazz, and I was thinking to myself, timeout. The way Michael Jordan's personal trainer, Tim Grover, I believe his name is, explains the story, it's almost so unbelievable. 5 guys come and deliver a pizza. He thinks, oh no, this is not a good idea. Michael Jordan says he eats the entire pizza, wakes up the next day with food poisoning, and I'm like, hold up, pause. Not only does it sound unbelievable, but 5 people showing up, what do they say to the pizza place? Hey, I need a pizza for Michael Jordan. Really? I think at that point, Michael Jordan being at the peak of his career, you would just say, I need a pizza delivered to this address. I mean, how would 5 people know that Michael Jordan was there unless they were stalking him? So that's why that was the most interesting story of the night. Another thing that was really cool that Jason Hehir did was that he focused on Steve Kerr and his upbringing, his childhood, to playing for Arizona in college, and then of course going to the Bulls. I definitely was surprised because I knew they were going to talk about Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Phil Jackson. I didn't expect Steve Kerr to play such a big role in episode 9, but it was nice that we got to see a little bit of his past and understand about his work ethic. It is tragic what happened to his father, but this is exactly what the series does for the viewer. It kind of reels them in beyond basketball. However, what I noticed in episode 9 and 10 is kind of what I noticed in the previous 2 episodes, which was the music selection. The soundtrack wasn't as lively whenever we would see highlights of MJ and the Bulls squaring off against their opponent. I didn't really get the vibe that we were kind of engaged because of the music. It was more so because of the game. But earlier in the series, episodes 1 to 4, from what I can remember, the music was excellent, and Spotify even created a playlist for The Last Dance and the songs that Jason Hehir used. But here in the final stretch, I didn't really feel like the music was so strong, and that's one area I was really missing. However, in episode 10, where of course the dramatics come into play and then they win that 98 title, you hear a Hans Zimmer score from Interstellar. At least that's what Twitter is saying, and it did sound very Hans Zimmer like, so it's great to hear Zimmer in anything. So I think the music composition was good, but the soundtrack for, those hot singles that you were really expecting was lackluster. But like I said in the beginning of this review, I really felt some type of way about the ending here. It's bittersweet. I do like it. It has that very Michael Jordan spin, so you end with him. You don't necessarily end with the Bulls, if that makes sense. However, I do think that maybe this documentary series needed another episode, or they could have written the final episodes better in terms of pairing them together. It almost felt like they were rushing in episode 10, and it was an unemphatic ending. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, because it was still very enjoyable, but I almost felt like it lacked the punch the previous episodes had, and I felt like I needed to be impacted in a different way for the series finale to really stick with me. Again, very good pair of episodes, but that last episode I felt like maybe was rushing to the finish line too quickly, and we could have done with an episode 11. It's an odd number to land on, I know, but it would have maybe given some more breathing room for some of these storylines. And yes, I know I joked about the whole Primetime Emmy Award, but I really do think that this has a huge chance at winning at next year's Emmys. Now, of course, I have to call out some awesome interviews that were shown on screen. Yeah, President Obama once again dropping some awesome knowledge. Ahmad Rashad is so great, and I actually think he's one of the top tier interview subjects that Jason Hehir was able to bring in for The Last Dance. He gives so much insight, and there's a huge personal touch with every single one of his stories. I like it so much, and I think that he's great. I've always liked him as a sportscaster and a personality for the sporting world, but I really do think that the stories are able to be told in a better way when you bring in people that were really close to Michael Jordan. A story that nearly broke my heart in episode 9 was of Michael Jordan's security guard Gus, who unfortunately, had to deal with lung cancer, and the game in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Pacers where Michael dedicated it to Gus was so sweet, and then of course Gus got the game ball. This is what makes sports so different from any other medium, is that these stories can exist. They're organic, and honestly, it is something that you can't script. So overall, The Last Dance really does deserve every ounce of praise because of its storytelling, the way they used personal stories, and they, of course, grabbed that archival footage we've never seen before. It was something otherworldly. I have not seen something like this before in a sports documentary. Is it the best sports documentary I've ever seen? Yes, it really is, because I've never been so glued in front of my television set for how many weeks now, guys? We've been doing this for about a month now, and it's just remarkable at what you can see every single week in terms of the growth of the documentary. It was getting better and better. Some weeks were better than others, of course, and the ending wasn't as strong as I wanted it to be, but it really doesn't take away from everything great that Jason Hehir and ESPN achieved. This is, again, remarkable. It's an achievement in documentary storytelling, but it's also a breakthrough for sports, because I'm hoping this will encourage even more sports stories of these legends that we grew up with. I cannot wait, personally, as a Miami Heat fan, to see a documentary series on the big three. I'm sure Pat Riley, Chris Bosh, D Wade, LeBron, they have so many stories, but for a documentary series to come out about Dwayne Wade and the Heat, it would just make my heart sing. Alright, you guys, go ahead in the comments below and let me know again what your favorite part about The Last Dance was. Thank you so much for just following me on this journey as we watch this documentary series together. If you liked what you heard and what you saw, go ahead and hit the big red button below if you haven't already subscribed. We're almost at 1,200 now? Oh man, you guys are just fantastic. I'm grateful for your support, and if you haven't, smash that like button, because it not only helps the channel out, but it helps me just create even more content, because more people see it, the channel grows, and guys, we're just going to continue to evolve. I'm excited for the journey ahead. Alrighty, y'all, again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening.